Hey there, welcome to Millennium Milestone Presents, a site dedicated to storytelling in books, movies, video games, and other exciting genres where Chrissy Mayer would probably fare better in a Mortal Kombat tournament than in her own simcast.
Fight!
Well, plans change about as fast as lightning, and I find myself sinking my teeth into yet another franchise, Mortal Kombat. Jumping off the success of the first movie, the franchise attempts to expand the lore by introducing the one, the only, blockbuster superstar, well, at least he was in the 90s, Johnny Cage. Played by Carl Urban, Cage is chosen in a tournament in Edenia to rule by the vicious Shao Kahn from the realm of Outworld. He and his forces duel the chosen combatants of the demigod Raiden to fight in a tournament to determine a final victor and the ruler of the realms.
Excellent!
While the movie does give us that 90s nostalgia we all crave for, there are some underlying issues I'd like to address. First off, the movie opens with Kitana's father entering the original tournament to determine the fate of Edenia, where he faces Shao Kahn. Shao Kahn brutally destroys him and takes his family as his own. We cut to Johnny Cage later on at a fan convention expo, bored out of his mind with no attention given to him as a wash-up 90s relic. Later, as he goes to his car to leave as greeted by Raiden and Sonya, who convince him to fight in Mortal Kombat for the fate of Earth. So we are first given two contrasting stories that seem to be competing with one another, which to me gives us an issue of pacing. We are expected to follow two stories back and forth and root for both characters who are at the end of the day have nothing to do with one another, and it becomes apparent in the latter half of the film. While there are plot points that lead to a payoff, they also do more to wreck the use of the rest of the characters in Mortal Kombat. For instance, Liu Kang and Kung Lao are relegated to secondary characters once again to battle each other this time. The original Mortal Kombat tournament winner is relegated to second fiddle. While it's a good story in its own right, I couldn't understand why the writers couldn't give us a payoff of Liu Kang at least going after Shang Tsung so he could get his comeuppings. Even Shang Tsung doesn't play any real significant role in this movie other than to be used to assassinate a wounded and weakened Raiden. You could have at least had Liu Kang defending Raiden and struggling to do so against his brother, at the same time finally getting revenge on Shang Tsung. Other characters in the movie are just there to be used as nostalgia bait, or some cases to take the spotlight away from others. Enter Jade, or should I say the less uglified Cynthia Erivo. I mean, look at it. No, really, look at it. What are the hell are we doing with this dumb interpretation of the character? For crying out loud, the worst cosplayer on the planet could do a better job of capturing the look of Jade. I don't care if we want representation in movies, but why are we always making the characters look more like the actor and not the other way around? Tati Gabrielle's shtick in most of her films is to be a shaved head dumbass, which is not the look of Jade in the least bit. She already has this look in the upcoming Neil Cuckman-produced video game Intergalactic, The Heretic Prophet. She couldn't be bothered to wear a wig in this film? But probably my biggest gripe is that of Kitana. Boy, are the similarities there. We basically get a bait and switch where we think this movie is about Johnny Cage, who ends up being relegated to hunting down Sub-Zero in the afterlife for a MacGuffin that would be the key to defeating an OP Shao Kahn, who is basically this version's Thanos in this movie. The only problem is he's defeated by a girl. And yes, I am aware that Kitana has had training by a less ugly Cynthia Erivo, but that is not the point. You're telling me that a Jade is more qualified to train Kitana on how to defeat Shao Kahn than Lord Raiden or any of the elder gods in the lore of Mortal Kombat. Please try to defend that in the comments. I'm all game. I am aware that this is a video game adaptation, but we have adaptations that have done better than this. And that's one thing that bugs me about video game adaptations. Why are we always assuming that the normie crowd will never go along with the lore that was established in adaptations? It's silly. Sonic proved that we can get a normie crowd to a movie without changing too much of the lore. It really doesn't have to be that complicated. Now, to be fair to Kitana, what would I have done different? The close friendship of her and Jade was already a good story in its own right. Instead of making her the eventual tournament winner, we should have had her captured in another realm and part of the plot to weaken Shao Kahn. Jade should have her loyalty tested and go to the Nether realm to stop her and perhaps either aid Kitana or sacrifice herself to help her return to Edenia. But instead, we are made to believe that Johnny Cage would be the main character of the story and get a bland ending of Kitana earning her way almost effortlessly to defeat Shao Kahn. The problem again is you've devoted more times to other characters that end up with no real payoffs to their story arcs. Even Cole Young, who was the main character of the first one, is neglected to being cut out by Shao Kahn. Why did we waste time writing this character to be written off like this? Either he should not have been in this movie at all or played a more significant role in this one. Again, throwing in a writing suggestion as to what we could have done with Cole Young. Again, I'm not for him being the central character in this story. That's perfectly fine. But you could have relegated once again to be one of the characters that went to the Netherrealm to retrieve the MacGuffin that was needed to stop Shao Kahn. It would have been a simple story. You could still even have kept the death and even made him a resurrected version of Scorpion in this one. Now, as of this recording, there has been some time passed, and I have noticed online that a lot of people are arguing that because this is a video game adaptation, we shouldn't take this so seriously. We shouldn't get all worked up about it. It's for video game fans and nothing more. I highly disagree with that. There's another YouTuber on here named Kata who's on New Blackstreet who also guesses on Tuesday night's main event, and he had a good back and forth argument regarding Mario Galaxy. And while I understood the arguments of others in that panel, I still side a little bit more what Kata said in that feature, where he argued that we shouldn't water down storytelling just because it's a popular video game adaptation. We should hold writers to a higher standard to at least put some effort into this. We're not asking for an Oscar-worthy story here, but we are asking for a concise, entertaining story. And to me, this was not an entertaining Mortal Kombat story. And that's maybe what I'm trying to get at more so. You can argue that it's got the nostalgia hits, great. But if you're asking me if this is a great Mortal Kombat story, I highly disagree. So for me, I would rate Mortal Kombat as just a mid-story, a mid-entertaining movie. Again, like I mentioned before, it has good pop hits and good references to the lore. But in terms of storytelling, I don't find this to be good quality storytelling for a Mortal Kombat story. I still feel, even though it's very cheesy, that the original Mortal Kombat movies had a better story than that of the newer one that we have now. But hey, maybe you guys can convince me to see this a different way. I'm always game for you guys to come in the comments and tell me what you think. But other than that, like, share, and subscribe, and you best better believe I'll be back for the next one.